UPPAbaby Vista V3 versus the UPPAbaby Cruz V3, two of the most popular luxury full-size strollers on the market, and in this video, I'm going to help you decide which one of these is right for your family. So let's jump into it. If you're new here, I'm Emily. I'm the stroller mom, a mom of three and a car seat passenger safety tech, and what makes my channel unique is I provide honest reviews of strollers and baby gear from a mom's perspective as a mom who actually uses the products. If you haven't already, please be sure to like this video, shop through the links below, and do not forget to subscribe. This is how I'm able to continue making videos just like this one. And this video is not sponsored by UPPAbaby, but it is sponsored by Kudos, which is one of my favorite clean diaper brands that is so unique. Unlike most diapers that are made from plastic, its liner is 100% cotton, and I'm excited to tell you a little bit more about it later in this video. My DMs on Instagram are full of questions about these two strollers, so I feel like the timing couldn't be more perfect. These are beautiful, premium quality strollers that have been very popular for a long time. I remember when I was pregnant with my first baby, the Vista was all the rage. Everyone was agonizing over what to do, whether you get the Vista or the Mockingbird, which I actually do have a comparison, so be sure to check that out. And it has just only grown in popularity. Then there's the Cruz. And I remember when I first looked at the Cruz and seeing that the weight difference wasn't like that significant, I was so confused on why parents would go with the Cruz over the Vista. I mean, the Vista is a single to double stroller. It gives you so many different configurations, and now I know. So I am really excited to kind of walk you through. We'll start with the things that are the same on both of these, and then we'll go through the differences. And I have a personal favorite in this lineup that I'll share a little bit later on, so be sure to keep watching. So let's start with price. The UPPAbaby Vista V3 retails for $9.99, and what you get for that is the stroller, as you see here. It has a all-weather seat, which includes the top cover and then obviously the bottom. And then you also have a storage bag for the seat. If you're going to be buying the bassinet and using that, it allows you to store the seat without getting any dust. And then it also includes, both of these do, a bug net and a rain cover, but I live in a very dry climate, so we don't have much need for a rain cover, but I do like that it is included, especially at this premium price point. The UPPAbaby Cruz V3 also includes a bug net and a rain cover, but instead of getting the storage bag, you actually get an infant insert here, which I think is really nice. So let's start with some of the things that make these strollers the same. They are both Green Guard Gold, which I actually have a full blog post explaining what that means and what other strollers are Green Guard Gold. They also both work with UPPAbaby car seats right out of the box, so you don't have to buy any additional adapters. They have adjustable handlebars, easy one-tap brakes, large baskets, and they also have adjustments that can be made on the canopy to give your child more space as they grow. They both have magnetic buckles, adjustable calf supports, the exact same fold, but the size is different, so we'll talk about that in a little bit. They also both are piggyback compatible, which is their little rider board, and I actually love both of these strollers with their rider board because the handlebar extends and you can fit your child right in here, not affecting your push, which I think is a huge selling point. Both baskets do hold 30 pounds each. There's a small size difference, but it's barely noticeable, and you can get a 3-year warranty with UPPAbaby's great customer service. They also both have incredible canopies and peekaboo windows, which I love. Recently, the diaper brand we've been using since our first baby changed its supplier, and after trying it, it was no longer going to be a good option for our family. When I was looking for a new diaper, something that was very important to me was finding one that had clean ingredients as well as being very effective. I also really liked, after trying a few different brands, that the one we had previously been getting came with a month supply, so I didn't have to worry about it. And that was when I found Kudos. Kudos actually is a super unique diaper because on top of being very effective and dry, having amazing blowout protection with this stretch, it also is made with an 100% cotton liner, which means the materials touching your baby's most sensitive area are cotton and not plastic, which is something I love. They also don't have any chlorine, any fragrances or lotions, and it has patent double dry technology to keep your baby dry all through the night. On top of that, their wipes are EWG certified, made with 99% water, and are very thick. And the best part is Kudos gave me a discount code for my subscribers to be able to try them out, and they come in a month's supply right to your door. But don't worry, if you run out or you're traveling and you still want to get the diapers you know and love using with your baby, you can get them at Target, which is so nice. So be sure to check out the description below. So let's start out by talking about what makes the UPPAbaby Cruz V3 unique, because this is UPPAbaby's single stroller, which means it works for one child and then a second child with a rider board, meaning it is great for bigger age gaps. I love this stroller, and I might make a case for why you may want to go with this one, even though this has the option to doubles. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. Some things I love about the Cruz V3 is now the seat is higher. So you can see it sits a little higher on the Vista, but it is now much closer to the Parent. That was like one of my biggest downsides on the V2, and I'm so glad they fixed it. But what makes the Cruz V3 so unique is the seat is infant compatible right out of the box, meaning you can use it from birth without any additional accessories. I love it when strollers come this way for parents. It just makes it so easy, and you're always gonna have that option to get this really nice recline. It has an infant insert here. You can see you have like this little newborn nest mode you can take out. And then what's really cool is they added this like drape here that you can attach to the bumper bar for extra sunshade coverage. I love this. I will say this is mainly beneficial for your baby in the younger stage, but there's nothing worse. Like when you have a baby in a full flat recline, same thing with a bassinet, the sun, depending on where it's at in your walks, just gets right onto your baby. And I love that UPPAbaby thought of this and included it. My one downside with this cover is they don't have like a super secure way of putting it up there. So you just roll it, and then there's like a little snap up here. And so I noticed, especially when I was pushing it with my 3.5-year-old, is it just kind of like sags down a little bit. So you have to kind of play with it to tuck it in. I wish there was like just a couple more snaps or something to really keep it secured when you don't need it. Something I really love about this stroller is it also doesn't have a bucket seat. So like both strollers can hold up to 50 pounds, but you have a better recline when you have an older child and you don't need these infant inserts. Some other things I love about the Cruz that makes it unique is you have a one-hand adjustment on the calf support, which is really nice. And then just like the other one, you can move the seat up, but I found that the seat was actually more upright in the most upright position than even the Vista. The frame is also a little bit smaller, so it's a little bit more narrow and a little bit more compact. Now, what about the push between these two strollers? The wheels, you may notice, are a little bit smaller on the Cruz. So you have a smaller frame, which makes it easier to navigate and steer, but you also have slightly smaller wheels. We have taken the Cruz everywhere. It is one of my top recommendations for first-time parents, and it really does take gravel. I mean, anything. If you live on a gravel road, I would go with the Ridge if you want to stay in the UPPAbaby family. But there's also other strollers that are more all-terrain. So if that's what you're looking for, go with one of those. But these two strollers both are going to do really well on a variety of terrain. So if you go up to a cabin and you need a dirt road, capabilities, they're going to do well. If you need that cobblestone or you're in a city, like they can navigate a lot. You do have a slightly better push on the UPPAbaby because of its larger tires, but the Cruz still handles it super well. I found my 3.5-year-old and my 1-year-old were very comfortable in both seats. The canopy being able to come up and give your child more head clearance is a beautiful thing about UPPAbaby strollers, and I really do feel like they can grow with your child. I know they have that lower footrest on both of them. I have a video here if you can kind of see my 3-year-old using it, but it just doesn't, it's not as practical on these type of like the modular strollers, but I guess it's nice that they include it. Now let's talk about some of the things that makes the Vista unique. The Vista has all-weather seats, which I've gotten a lot of questions about. Why didn't they do that on the Cruz? But if you notice, the Vista's a bucket seat. So it just has like more depth to it than the way the Cruz is. So from an airflow standpoint, it's pretty much a wash. Like I don't know that I would let that be the reason you have to buy. And if anything, this adds more bulk to your seat. The one benefit is it is easier to clean, I guess, because you can take this part off and watch it. UPPAbaby sells seat liners if you really want that. But I think it's a nice feature of the Vista, but I don't know that it's something that would make me buy the Vista over the Cruz. Now, something parents love about the UPPAbaby Vista and why many go with it over the Cruz is it has the ability to kind of future-proof your life by turning into a double. And especially for parents who want to have kids close in age, it seems like a really good sell. And let me tell you, I certainly thought it did, as well as all of my friends in 2020 when single doubles were really exploding on the market. However, you may notice on TikTok and other social media that it is kind of controversial now. And this is because it's not as single to double strollers are either better as a double or a single, never both. You're always gonna have trade-offs when you have a stroller trying to be a lot of things. And that is certainly true for the Vista. The biggest downside on the Vista is, unfortunately, the second seat is smaller, making it not great for twins. So it can hold up to 40 pounds. They've made some changes with the V3 that makes it a little bit better. Now the adapters do work for the UPPAbaby car seat without having to buy another set of adapters. You had to buy so many adapters prior to some of the updates they've made, but it just has a smaller seat, meaning your older child generally will need to be on the top. Now this will help the push of the stroller, but often parents want their smaller child closer to the parent. The other big downside with this stroller is in order to use the bassinet, it has to be in the lower position. Right after we had my third, I was testing the Vista V2, and I do have that review on my channel, but I just found having my baby and not really being able to see her was so hard in having that bassinet option. Like I wish it could be up at the top. So something to keep in mind, there are other single to double strollers that do have two seats that are the same size that are better suited for twins. You can look at the Gazelle, you can look at the Mockingbird, I have that, and then also even the Mom Cozy just came out with, but that's kind of something to keep in mind if you're gonna be investing in the Vista. But something I do like about the Vista V3, and I'm not saying it's gonna have the best push, but you can add the piggyback and take 3 kids on it, which is really nice as a mom of 3, and we have definitely put that to the test. Now let's talk about the weight of these strollers because they're actually very similar, though the size is different. So the Vista is gonna weigh 27.6 pounds, the frame is 19.8, and the seat is 7.8. The Cruz, on the other hand, is 26.5 pounds, and the seat is 9.5 pounds, and the frame is 17 pounds. So you'll notice that the seat actually weighs more on the Cruz, but that's because you have the infant compatibility and the full flat recline. I'll take it. So the folds are almost identical. However, the handlebar position is different if you want them to stand when folded. So the Cruz needs to be on the lowest setting and the Vista needs to be on the highest setting. And then you're gonna put both strollers with this easy one-hand positioning right there in line with the frame, and then you'll eventually tuck the footrest down. They have 2 triggers on the side and it will just fold right in half. And then with the Cruz, you're just going to move this one button here and wrap it all the way around. It's so compact. And something that's really cool about the Cruz is you can also fold the bumper bar down, making it even more compact. And then the Vista also has 2 triggers on the side, and you're just gonna bend it in half. It will also latch. And then you do with 2 hands have to move that down, and the bumper bar does not fold in. And then to open them both, they both have latches on the side. You'll just kind of push that in. I had a mechanical engineer ask me about the pinch test on these strollers and if my fingers get pinched in them, and they do. They definitely do in the frame. But you kind of get used to it. And then you'll put the seat back up in the most upright position, and then the same thing with the Cruz. You have a latch on this side. You'll kind of pull it open, and then you can easily just pop up the bumper bar and then grab the one-handed footrest there. So which of these strollers is right for you and your family? In general, in my stroller consultations and when I'm talking to parents, I am almost always recommending the Cruz V3 over the Vista V3. This is for a few reasons. Not only is it more expensive, and now it doesn't include the bassinet, so it's not newborn compatible, so you have to buy another accessory, whether it be the bassinet or the snug seat, making it more expensive. It also has some configurations as double, which make it not the best in the single to double category. The second seat is smaller, only holding up to 40 pounds. You also have to put the bassinet in the bottom setting. It just tends not to be my favorite. You do get larger wheels, and I think as a single stroller, it overall is nice, but if you're primarily buying it to be a single stroller, I would go with the Cruz, and then you get that infant compatibility right out of the box. I love the Dream Drape. I love that it has a more compact, smaller frame while still having a really nice push. And then the biggest selling point, if you buy the Vista as a double and understanding you're gonna have to buy an infant accessory, so I went with the bassinet on this price setup because if you're gonna be using it for the next several years, you'll probably want to have a bassinet. You're looking at just over $1,600 to be able to use this stroller as a double. So that is quite a lot of money. To buy the Cruz, that you can use from birth right out of the box, and then buy the Menu Duo, which I have a full review of. I really like this stroller, but to buy the Menu Duo, which is their side-by-side double stroller that pushes and steers a lot nicer as a double, you are only looking at an $80 price difference, and you could even sell the Cruz at that point. The other thing is the Cruz is still compatible for 2 children with the additional rider board, and so depending on how big your age gaps are, for me, my 4-year-old was definitely ready to not use the seat and just use the rider board. So I don't know. I think, is the Vista a bad stroller, especially as a single? No, but I think when you start to factor in some of those other things, I tend to prefer the Cruz, but let me know below what you think, and thank you so much for watching.